All right, everybody. Welcome back. And we have Coty Thurman with us. So, Coty, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So, Living Room Realty. Tell us a little bit about Living Room Realty.
Living Room Realty is kind of a local boutique real estate company here in the city of Portland. We are right in the heart of Portland, Oregon. And we started back in 2008. The entrepreneur, Janelle Isaacson, started this beautiful company right in the heart of the recession, which is a feat all in its own. By 2012, we had enough real estate agents with enough investor clients that everyone was looking for a good property manager and they couldn't find one. And
Oh man, listen to my listeners out there in Portland, Oregon. No shade thrown there. No shade.
Sorry, guys. But or they're just busy. The good ones are busy. That's the other piece of it. And so clients were hungry for great property management that kind of fell in line with the core values of who Living Room was. Living Room is a company that reflects our community. Like I said, we're hyper local. And
well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you mentioned at your boutique. Now, why did you guys stay boutique and not go with like a Century 21 or some type of franchise?
The model is really hard to duplicate. It's such a special, it's because it's so hyper local. If you look at the way Living Room even shows up online in our social media, who we are is so clearly part of Portland that there wasn't any other place for us to really fit. And some of these national models of real estate companies and property management companies, they just didn't allow us to have the flexibility to kind of be our whole selves. And so even now at 110 and 120 agents, we still kind of feel like that boutique company.
Because I know if you go with like the Century 21s of the world, supposedly you get all this training and you get all of these leads. So by being boutique, you have to develop your own training for your agents. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, 100%. We are developing our own training. We're creating our own marketing. Our kind of the entrepreneur, that is her sweet spot. That is who she is at her core. Is kind of, if you walk into a living room office, it looks, feels, and smells a certain way. And that is a direct representation of just what she sees in her vision. And she's just really good at.
So if I was listening to this, right, like, because most property management firms, they have like the real estate, believe it or not, it's the afterthought, right? And in real estate firms, the property management becomes the afterthought. And so if I'm listening to this and I'm like, man, I really am thinking about building a real estate department because I have, 300, 200, 400 homes under management, and people are asking me to do sales and buys and all that good stuff. What would be the first, like, why would I want to stay boutique? Like, what's a differentiator other than keeping your identity, which is a big one? Is there anything else that you could think of that's a big differentiator on why I would stay, with my own branding versus going out with a franchise?
I think it attracts a certain type of agent as well. And I think, I'm a huge fan of determining who my core client is and digging into that until I can map them out. I know where they're looking, where they're shopping, and all of those things. And I just feel like when I'm serving my core client, and when you're serving over 100 agents, you want to make sure that you're serving the type of people who really want to show up for for the kind of company that you are.
What are agents typically looking for? Right, obviously they're looking for a great culture. Right, we get that, but what are like a two or three things like an agent is going to take Living Room versus Bill and Ted's excellent, real estate brokerage versus Century 21?
It's been an interesting shift in the last few years. But I think one thing that's when the agents that come to Living Room, they still want the community. They want a community of other agents who show up in the same way they do. Because when they come to Living Room, they're sitting next to all agents who are full-time real estate agents. They're not just people who hang their license. They're showing up because they want to sit next to other high producers and people who are at their same level. They want the brick and mortar. You know, not everyone needs that. Living Room's got a great community aspect. The spaces that we have are pretty special. We're plopped into different parts of our city. And so I think that it's important that their branding shows up around the city as well.
So when you guys are looking at agents, it's almost like when you're looking at clients as well, right? So you have a target market that you're looking for, and you have a specific agent that you're trying to attract and that you're trying to do business with. Would that be?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So like for an agent, first thing that I'm thinking of, like when I talk to my agent friends, because I'm a broker here in Texas, but I don't practice anymore. And so one of the first things is they feel like the broker should give them leads. And do you feel the same way? Like all agents want leads? Is that kind of something that you see?
In today's market, yes, everyone wants leads. Yes, that's
Right.
true.
Right. And the broker is not responsible to give leads, by the way. That's kind
No.
of a misnomer, right? Like, oh, I want it, but brokers do, right? They do advertising and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if your company is doing what it's supposed to do, you're going to have people calling you and wanting to work with your agents because of the way that you show up as a brokerage in the world. So,
And the beautiful thing about having a management company inside your brokerage is it generates tons of leads, right? Because you have, and now a lot of them might be lease leads, but most people who lease, do you happen to know what your average rental rate over there is for your management firm?
we are just over 2,500 a month.
Okay, so those people at 2,500 are most likely going to buy at some point, yeah?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right? So if you're a management firm and you are thinking about creating a real estate firm off your, or making a little bit more than what you're doing right now, understand that you have a lot of value, right? Living Room attracts agents because they have a lot of leads, not just from, being intertwined in the community, which evidently you guys do a fantastic job of that. I actually was on your website and I saw that you give back to the community as well, which is another thing. And let's talk about that here in a second, because I think that's super important that not a lot of us do. And I think it brings you a lot of not just goodwill, but brings you business. So let's talk about that here in a second.
Yeah.
But if you are looking at building a real estate firm, right, how many leads have you given up if you don't have agents? You have one house to rent, 15 people. Now not everybody's rent is 2,500 average rent. Here in Houston, when I was doing it, it was about 1,650, which was still, those are people who are going to buy houses here in Houston. Back now, that was also 5 years ago when I last managed and sold. But that's the main thing, right? So your property management firm generates leads for your real estate, and your real estate generates leads for your property management, right?
Yeah.
And so
what's crazy is I remember a day when, Living Room Property Management was the little sister of Living Room Realty. We were that part of
the
the
redheaded stepchild, so to speak, huh?
redheaded stepchild, 100%. Yeah, I remember those times, and it's been really cool. What's been really cool, especially for my property management team, is as the market has really shifted and we're seeing such a low amount of transactions that are happening nationally, and it's of course showing up here locally as well, is that the stability of our property management team has really held up our brokerage and given our brokerage some breathing room, financial breathing room, that a lot of small boutique brokerages don't have, who don't have property management companies. So it's been a really special kind of shift. And our property management team is pretty proud to kind of hold that together.
You're seeing, we're recording this in August. It's probably come out in a couple of months, but we're recording this in August. And I can promise you that there are so many realtors that have either left the business because the good times have dried up, right? You have to actually work now to go get leads and to sell, or they started a property management firm.
Yep.
Just like you said, the property management firm it's that steadiness in time of chaos, right? When there's a shortage of housing, or when the prices go up or go down, or we're in a recession or interest rates go up, that property management firm is literally recession proof.
It really feels that way, and it's shown up that way. And it's
now Do
the
your
deal.
agents and property managers work together cohesively, or is there some kind of tension between them at times? This is my client. Make sure you take advantage. You don't take advantage of them. Take care of them and all that good stuff. And then and then the property manager is like gets a house that the owner doesn't want to rehab or things of that nature. How does that work? Do you have to like get your whistle out and be like the referee between those fights, or do you just put them in a mud pit and let them go at it? Like, how does that work?
You know what? I feel like we need each other. I mean, we're on such different ends of it that we just need each other for all of it. And so it honestly, we don't really feel that tension, but that's because we have such a clear divide
Everything
between
is just so beautifully perfect there in Portland, huh?
it. I mean, I don't know, maybe this is just the glory of living room, but I really do. It's the divide of between the two. The our I mean, Portland is known as one of the top, like the most difficult places to be a property manager. I
Yeah,
mean, we're in the
there's a lot
Pacific
of
Northwest.
legislation in different towns and municipalities for sure.
It's tough. We probably have the least amount of real estate agents who want to go into property management, even in a recession,
Good for you.
because they are close enough to the changes in our laws that they are scared. They're
Mhm.
like, oh gosh, I don't want to learn any of that.
Yep.
And our property managers are so busy and so intertwined with the laws and such here that the idea of selling real estate, it's unrealistic. It's like there's no way you could do both. And so I think we've created lanes and we all just kind of stay in our lanes. Um, and that,
That's smart. So the property managers don't sell and the realtors don't manage.
yeah,
It doesn't muddy the waters. It's funny, the whole legislation thing that you bring up, more and more legislation is seeping into all states and even at city level and sometimes even at neighborhood level. And a lot of property management firms are upset about this, or they get a little crazy because it's going to make it's going to make our job harder. There's no doubt about it, right?
yeah,
Because when you have to deal with government agencies, they don't make things easier for you.
right.
But what that's also doing is it's generating more business for us because
Yeah,
guess who else doesn't want to deal with it? The self manager, right? And our friends in Australia, they couldn't believe when so there's a couple of guys that we know from Australia. They came over and they were teaching NARPM a bunch of stuff that Australians do. And did you know, like, I think right now it's roughly the 80-20 rule, right? Roughly 80% of all houses are self-managed. And I
yep,
think that's gone up a little. I think that's gone down and the management has gone up a little bit over the last few years. Let's call it 70-30. Well, in Australia, it's the other way around, right? It's like 80% of all homes are managed by a third party professional, right? And the main reason is really due to the legislation. And
yep,
so the more legislation that seeps in, you hit the nail on the head. Not only are going to be less property managers that want to deal with it, less agents that are going to get into the business. So it's going to become a barrier to entry, right? But more importantly, the self manager, the guy used to own 3, 4, 5 houses in Portland. He is no longer going to want to manage those homes. Even if he has one home, he's not going to want to manage it anymore
no,
because everybody feels like they can manage a property. But now when you have to deal with the government, nobody feels like they don't want to deal with the government. Right? I'm going
yeah.
to leave that over to Coty and her team.
Yeah, I mean, the fines are there. You sit and have a conversation with any Portland property manager, and they will scare you out of managing your own home. It's a really easy conversation with a new, one of our accidental landlords who's just
Right.
moving out of state. I mean, they're just like, oh, here it is. They just wash their hands of it. Please, you take it and you
Yeah.
do that.
You
So
get sued, not me. I don't get sued. I let the
exactly.
manager get sued. So you talked a little bit about your core values, and you talked a little bit, and a lot of that had to do with being involved in the community. And you said boutique, and you say community quite often.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that is very big with Living Room. So tell me a couple things. One, like who you partner with, or what does that look like? How'd you guys build just how'd you build the giving piece? And does it bring business? I know we're not doing it for business, but does it help?
Yeah. I Living Room decided pretty early on that we wanted to apply for B Corp status. And B Corp status comes with this set of philosophies of how you run business. How to do business for good, how to give back to your community, how to make sure that.
So I've heard of S Corp, C Corp. This is B dash Corp, B Corp.
This is B like boy. Yep.
Okay. Okay. I've never heard of B Corp.
There's B Corp is a very, I mean, here in Portland, it's a pretty big deal. It's a national, I mean, it's a national designation that you can apply for. And basically there's a set of criteria on the way that you do business, and you get scored for it. And it's about community. It's about it's a lot of the way that you treat your employees as well. Making sure that everyone's making a living wage, making sure people have transportation to and from work. Just little things.
Sounds very Portlandish.
I promise it's national. I promise this is not just Portland. Everyone has an opportunity to do this. But yes, it is not a surprise.
Well, if they all work from home, then that's pretty easy to get the transportation thing down, I guess.
It's not a surprise that a Portland-based, community-based real estate company would be one of the first. You're right. It's not a surprise. But the B Corp status, it's interesting how many people are like, oh my gosh, you guys are a B Corp. And there's so much networking within the B Corp community on itself that people will seek you out just to work with another company that's dedicated to kind of, like I said, doing business for good is their motto. So
doing business for good. Okay. So how'd you get that into the community? How do you work in the community now?
So actually, and there's two different parts of this. So the B Corp is that's like how the company functions, right? That's how we do business. And then there's the agents. Real estate agents are independent contractors.
99s, you got it. Yep.
Right. So in what the story behind our giving, we have something that's called the Living Room Fund. And the Living Room Fund was created by agents as a way to combine their giving. And so what they do is every 3 years, we choose 3 new nonprofits, and our agents vote on these nonprofits. They bring a whole bunch. We go through this whole voting session until we get to the top 3. And then we hold those nonprofits for 3 full years. And a portion of every single commission, every single sales commission that comes through Living Room is given to one of those 3 nonprofits. And they can choose which one of the 3 they want to participate with. And so we hit over $600,000 in giving.
Wow.
And that's directly the agents giving a portion of their commission. And so, you times that by over 100 agents, doing $1 billion worth of business, it's a pretty big deal, right? So I think that's one of the things that really allows us to show up. And then on top of the fact that we've built in this giving program where every quarter these companies are getting a pretty sizable check from Living Room agents, we actually partner with each one of these companies as well. So we're showing up and we're participating, we're volunteering with them, and we really.
It's not just a money thing; it's a partnership.
Yeah, it's a full relationship, and it's really special. I think one of the
try to get your owners and residents involved as well, or is it just the team?
So, we talk about it when we bring on owners. We haven't dipped into the residents at this point yet. It's actually a really good idea is to open that up to residents as well. But it is part of the sales pitch when it comes to, why would you want to do business with Living Room? And knowing that 5% of our profits is going back to the community is a pretty, that's.
Yeah, that can make the difference between signing or not signing a PMA contract or a sales contract.
Yeah.
Sure. Money's going back into the not just to a nonprofit, right? But going back into the community where those nonprofits work, for sure.
Yeah. And it also, it ties in to our pricing and why we don't negotiate our pricing as well. We have a set of price that we're gonna quote you, and out of that, you're giving back as, a piece of that is being given back. So I think it's just all important to share.
Yeah, we did something similar, but not as in depth or at the level that Living Room is doing it. We had a program we call B1G1, so buy one, give one. Sorry about that. And so anybody who had a meaningful meeting with us for property management, we would donate a lunch to a PTSD foundation. And so that's
Oh, I
so,
love
and
that.
we'd give them a card to say that we're going to do this. And every quarter we'd tally everything up, and we'd have them come in and they would talk to our team in our team meeting, and then we cut them a check. And
That's great.
we always use it as a good excuse to get on the social medias as well, to show them
Yeah.
that there's no good, nothing good happens unless it happens on social media, right?
Right. Well, a lot of the money parts aren't super, we talk about kind of the accumulative a little bit, but yeah, those volunteer opportunities, and it's kind of, I feel like it's our job to kind of share what these nonprofits are doing. I mean, if we've all bought into them and want to give them such a huge chunk of income, of our income, we've bought into what they are doing and who they are. So why not put them on our platform and share?
Yeah. And then did your team vet these nonprofits out to make sure like that majority of the funds that they raise goes back to the community and all that good stuff? Because you hear these horror stories, right? Like, I
Yeah.
won't name names, but you hear horror stories like for every dollar you give, like 95 cents goes to the corporation, and 5 cents
Yeah.
goes to the community. So did you guys do some vetting on that? And yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, the way that it works is that each one of the agents kind of brings their vote and they decide who gets put on the ballot. And so they are a huge part of that. And then our team on the back end, the ones that make it through to the next round of voting actually have to meet a
Does the
bunch of
research.
qualifications. And
Got it.
then and then I said, they
Do
come
you
back
change
in
them out each year? Do you change them out each year or
3 years.
every three? Okay, perfect.
Every 3 years. That's a big piece of that. That's an important part of it. If you give someone, $5,000, that's awesome. That's a really great thing. But if you build in a $15,000 quarterly check that they're going to likely get over the 3 years, that actually it can change the way that they can
Your
structure their
business.
business.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're there to do. Instead of, $500 at a time, sponsoring one little table at a time or whatever that is at all these galas and things,
Right.
we really want to make a difference in the organizations that mean the most to us. And that's the best way for us to do it.
Do you purposely look at smaller um, nonprofits versus larger nonprofits because you could have more impact? Or do you look,
Not necessarily.
okay.
Not necessarily. We worked with Oregon Wild for a really long time, and that's a pretty good sized organization. Um, I think, as we went into this last round of voting, it was the conversations around getting BIPOC folks into homes and keeping them in homes, and the gentrification of our city was a really big topic of conversation, and that became the focus of where we wanted to give money. So I think it's just kind of what's happening at the time, but also you commit to those for 3 full years, right? And so it
So
doesn't get
building
it's not,
deeper relationships than
yeah,
just
it's not
cutting the
overly
check.
trendy.
What's that?
It's not overly trendy as far as who we're picking. It's just not whoever's cool. But this last time, we had a couple of fresh organizations that started up, and it was pretty cool to get in with them and support them from the ground up and see them really grow. But a lot of that comes with staying really close to these companies. Like I said, being part of being part of their organization on a volunteer level as well, because you can really see how that money is being used.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna hit a commercial break here in a second, but I want to say there's a lot of good points here, right? So, the real estate is separate from the management, so don't have your property manager doing real estate work and vice versa. And they're
Right.
both great lead generators for one another. And then people want to do business with companies that that are bigger than just the transaction, right? And so
Absolutely.
if you have a partnership with a nonprofit, like you should, I don't want to use the word exploit that, but you should market that, right? So that people know that it's not just you're doing business with, company ABC or Living Room. You're doing business with Living Room, who supports not just anybody, but people who are nonprofits who focus in the community,
Yep.
which is a game changer because it really is more than just a transaction at that point. So, all right. I'm gonna hit a break here, and then we're gonna hit the lightning round. Coty, are you ready for the lightning round? Don't be scared. It'll be all right.
Okay, let's try. We'll see.
We'll be right back, everybody. All right, welcome back to the NARPM Radio podcast. I got Coty Thurman on the hot seat in the lightning round. Coty,
All
are you
right,
ready?
here we go.
All right, well, now Cody's a bigwig. She's like a vice president for some like big company, even though she says it's a small boutique company. They got like over 100 people. So let's see if she knows any of these answers. All right, Cody, what property management software do you guys use?
Appfolio.
Nice, well done. All right, didn't even know if you're gonna have that. Okay,
This is a lightning round I can handle. Let's do that.
all right. Here's another one. Here's a tougher one. What is your current organizational structure for your property management division? Is it portfolio based, hybrid, departmental?
You know what? We were heavily portfolio based. We were portfolio based, I would say, a year ago, and we are pulling out of that. A
That
bit
sounds
right.
about right. At 300 units,
Yeah.
you're going to move towards hybrid or departmental. All right.
Yep.
All right. Do you use virtual assistants?
We do.
All right. Awesome. Now, when you're ready, you give me a call and use VPM Solutions to find your next ones. So here's the other one. Do you have salespeople, BDMs for property management, or is it just your realtors that they go out and find it? So do you actually have salespeople that are out there just for property management?
So I do have a BDM who is specific to our property management company. She began selling real estate back in 2020, and I've seen that business kind of slowly start to grow. And she actually has done quite a bit of our business for our internal anyone who's unrepresented in our property management company. She's building a great business. So
Nice. What is one piece of advice you'd give someone just starting out in the property management business?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm a big fan of knowing knowing the whole piece of the industry and just staying. Actually, I'm going to change it. Hold on. Here it is.
Right.
Stay educated.
Stay educated. Join NARPM. There you go.
Stay educated. Be a part of your local organizations. Be very involved in NARPM and network with the people around you, but definitely just stay in the know what's going on around you.
Love it. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes, 100%.
What was your first job?
Ooh, I worked at Wendy's. I was like, I loved it. I had a blast. I think I was there for 6 months before I was pulled into retail, but oh man, I was really good at that drive-through window, let me tell you.
Really? All right. You want to supersize that? What is something that most people don't know about you, other than that you started off working at Wendy's?
Oh, what do people not know about me? I have a very large family. I have 8 sisters. I almost said 7. I almost said 7, but I have a pandemic find sister. Like
Really?
just found, and so I now have 8 sisters.
8
So
sisters. Okay.
not
Wow.
many people know that actually.
What book you're currently reading, or what is one that you've read that's impacted your business or life?
I'm a big fan of The One Thing, Gary Keller's book. That was a big deal for me. You Are a Badass was also super impactful.
Yeah, it's a good book. What was her name that wrote that?
Jen.
Yes.
I want to say an S.
Someone an S. You're right. Look it up, folks. You're a
Yep.
badass. It's a great one. Okay.
And We Can All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. That was my other one that recently came out.
What's it called? You Can All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers.
We should all be millionaires.
You can all be millionaires.
And it's a great book for everyone, but it's especially women and especially women of color. It's pretty special. So
okay. Right. It sounds like right up my alley.
There you go. Just
which Disney character do you most associate with?
What was that?
Which Disney character do you most associate with?
Oh my gosh. So my husband told me when I was very young, we've been together since we were in high school. So mind you, that's a big thing. But that I look like Jiminy Cricket. I think it's just the eyes, and I don't know what it is, but
Yeah,
I think
you need
so
to
that's
trade him in for a newer model.
I know. That's okay. We called him Dopey, so it's
Oh,
there's
that's
worse
funny.
things.
That is funny. What do you prefer, dogs or cats?
Kids.
No, you're not an animal lover. I see that.
No,
Okay.
we've got a dog. He's just hairy and he's a lot of work, but I do love him a lot. So I'll say it's dogs.
Dogs by a hair. Get it? Because he's hairy. All
There you
right.
go.
All right. Well, if somebody wants to reach out to you, how can they do so?
You can find us at livingroomre.com. There's a staff page on me there. I'm also on LinkedIn. My name is Coty Thurman, C-O-T. My mom had to be special, C-O-T-Y.
Well, she ran out of names after 8 of them.
Yeah. And last name is Thurman. So yeah, absolutely. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. So come find me and say hello.
Awesome. And if you are listening to this and you are not a member of NARPM, why not join NARPM, NARPM.org, or call them at 800-782-3452. If you need virtual assistance, go to vpmsolutions.com. We're the only online platform that is built for the property management industry. There's free training. You can search and sort by different property management software and skills, and it's all free. You negotiate directly with your virtual assistant. You pay them through our platform. The virtual assistant pays VPM 10%. So, Coty, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Another great NARPM podcast. We'll see everybody the next time.
Thanks,
Later.
Pete.